Rumors are flying fast and furious about Matt Eberflus, why he gave an interview yesterday, what happened, how this all broke down, how long Ryan Poles has been trying to pull this trigger, and that George McCaskey has been the reason Matt Eberflus is still there. We're going to break all this down, and we're going to look at the new coaching search, and I'm going to give you an inside tip here. I don't think Thomas Brown has a chance to become the next Bears head coach. I don't think that the team is looking in that direction. I do think that they have a list of candidates. I do have a list of the candidates, and I don't see that Thomas Brown is going to fit in with that. However, with a couple of games to go, there's 5 games left in the season, something could derail that thought process and change dramatically if Thomas Brown comes out. This team looks prepared, they look ready to fight, they look ready to win, and they're doing it for Thomas Brown. Now, if you like this type of content, make sure you hit the like button on the way in. Let's break it down. Let's go. Okay, so Tom Pelissero has an answer for one of the big questions. Why did the Bears have Matt Eberflus speak to the media hours before firing him? And guys, as you know, if you were paying attention yesterday, once Matt Eberflus took that stage, there were a lot of people like, what is going on here? How does this guy still have a job? Is this just another example of the dysfunction that is the Chicago Bears? Well, it turns out the answer is yes and no, because my understanding is George McCaskey, Kevin Warren, and Ryan Poles had just begun a meeting that lasted multiple hours when Eberflus' regularly scheduled press conference started. A delay would have pointed towards a change that at that point hadn't been decided. By the time the decision was finalized, the presser was long over and Eberflus was informed. Now, if you remember, Eberflus said, I expect to be coaching for the 49ers game. However, let's go back in time, because it turns out, you know what? Let's put a pin in that, because not only do we have that, we have a breaking report here on Jalen Johnson. After the game, Jalen went crazy, one Bears player said. He was very emotional and pissed, but rightfully so. He's been here longer than most, said another player. He was going off more so at Eberflus. Now, further, according to multiple players and staffers in the locker room, some players were asking why Eberflus didn't call a timeout. Other players got going too. Guys were furious. It was an accumulation of this season. The locker room was ugly. There was a lot of yelling. We felt as players, it's been too many instances where we fought our way back into games to lose because of bad time management and decision making. Now, if you're not curious, that to me sounds like exactly what Keenan Allen was saying. So I'm going to assume that first player here is Keenan Allen, that he's talking about all the things that he's saying publicly right now. Like, why are these things happening? We don't understand. Well, let's take it one step further, because it gets very, very interesting, because just on 670 to score, Ryan Poles wanted to fire Matt Eberflus after the Patriots game, but ownership would not allow it. Now, we'll leave that comment for George McCaskey. We'll leave it on screen. We won't read it out loud. George, fund this channel. But if we go back here and we really look at where are the wheels falling off, you've got your Hail Mary, you've got your absolute blowout, you've got your 3 points against the Patriots. At that point, that is when he was gone, according to Ryan Poles. However, at that point, by the way, it should be recognized the season could have been salvaged by just winning 2 of these very close games. Just let's call it another month, another single month, perhaps, or a week even, of additional opportunity and seasoning, if you will, by Thomas Brown. Giving him that opportunity would have potentially change the dynamic of what this team was doing, giving him another week to prepare, giving him another reason to get ready, and having Matt Eberflus not out here calling boneheaded plays at the end of games, not going for a few extra yards. Could they have missed versus the Packers? Sure, but you don't know unless you try. This is the NFL. It's an offensive league. It's designed to protect offense, not defense. So a defensive-minded head coach making boneheaded decisions about the offense is just absolutely silly. The Lions had the opportunity. The Vikings had the opportunity. There's so many opportunities here to win ball games that were caused by Matt Eberflus' incompetence that if you just consider here, maybe we win 2 of those games. They were close enough that one score was the difference. Maybe we win 2 of those games. Suddenly this team, instead of 4-8, is 6-6, and we're looking at a potential playoff hunt because you're not winless after 3 games. You're 2-1. You're leading a division. It's absolutely insanity. what was going on here. So let me know what you think, by the way, as we get into the 49ers. Do you think Thomas Brown's going to do a good job? And if you do, then leave a comment down below. Do you think Thomas Brown has a shot at being the head coach? I do not at this point think. I do think that it's going to take a phenomenal sort of sweep here to get George McCaskey to say, yeah, you know what, let's do it from in-house. And then, if that happens, I get some interesting stuff here that we could talk about after that. So now, let's look at the list of candidates here. Number one amongst them is Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson is considered the number one guy, along with Joe Brady, Thomas Brown, Aaron Glenn, Liam Cohen, Bill Belichick, Arthur Smith, Cliff Kingsbury. Now, let me just say, Ben Johnson would be on my radar. Joe Brady would be on my radar. Thomas Brown would be on my radar. This is not on my radar. Defensive coordinators, that's nonsense. That's for anybody thinking that's ludicrous. Okay, Bill Belichick, too old. Guys, listen, I love Bill Belichick. I think he's done great things cheating for the league all these years, but no, I'm not interested in that. Liam Cohen, maybe. Arthur Smith, maybe. I don't think there's any chance right here of Cliff Kingsbury. I don't think there's any chance that Cliff Kingsbury has any interest. Even if he were higher up in the rankings at this point, I don't think that there's an opportunity there, because he had the opportunity last season and chose to stay away. Now, that most likely is because he doesn't want to be in a lame duck situation with a lame duck head coach. That lame duck is now gone. Maybe his interest has changed a little bit, but I don't think so. I don't think that changes anything fundamentally. We don't want Cliff Kingsbury to be here, okay? And by the way, nothing against Cliff Kingsbury. I just, again, there's enough candidates here that, if you can't get number one, you can't get number two, and number three. And it depends, by the way, how this lines up. Right now, it's Ben Johnson, Joe Brady, and Thomas Brown. Thomas Brown wins some football games. He gets that defense going. He gets everything on. He creates reasons for the Bears to win as opposed to lose. This all changes dramatically, okay? Thomas Brown could be that number one guy. I don't think that he is. I don't know for sure how he's going to handle the situation. I like the intensity that he brings to the team. I like the fire. But the question here is not intensity and fire right now. The question is, for the Chicago Bears, accountability. Can Thomas Brown bring that accountability to this team? Can he ruffle some feathers? Jalen Johnson openly questioning coaching decisions. That's not a good look for this team. Montez Sweat, Keenan Allen, these guys are openly questioning the leadership of the team. And look, they had every reason to, but even with a reason to, you still don't do it. So Thomas Brown is walking into a mess. He has a mess. He's going to get less leash to make mistakes than a normal head coach would at this point. So, I'm concerned about his ability to effectively manage this whole process, because the players have been emboldened. But now the question is, can he rally? Can he get men to fight like men through the end of this season? If he does, I like the odds. But again, I don't think that he's on the radar. I think it's really all about go get the best minds on offense to make something happen. Now, if that is the case, if Ben Johnson comes here, then guess what? Thomas Brown is going to be out. So enjoy Thomas Brown while we can, because I don't know that this is going to end well. And you know what? To be fair, if Ben Johnson is gone, Thomas Brown's probably the offensive coordinator for the Lions next year. So wild times here. Interesting carousel probably going to happen. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Remember to bear down. And San Francisco, we had a long way. We got 10 days to work this out from that Thanksgiving disaster and fiasco again. So let's see what happens.